Hi there, welcome to another painting tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to paint some beautiful cherry blossoms. So let's get started. And let's start by spraying the paper. And I'm going to use a size 0 round brush. And let's take a gray paint and see if we can start to outline some of these petals. So because they're a very light color, they're going to have a lot of light pink and white in them. This is going to add just a nice base so that we don't lose the structure of the flower. So try to carefully go around the edge. And you can try to do a little bit of blending as well. Trying to build some three-dimensional form. And you could also leave some areas undefined, just so you have a little bit of variety. It can look a little bit more natural if everything is not completely outlined. Then we can do that same thing to the bottom flower. Okay, and now let's put in some dark color. I have this burnt umber here. And let's see if we can put that in the center of the flower. This is where there's going to be a lot of contrast. But you just want to leave some white areas so that we can put in the stamen area. Think about the direction that these shapes are going to be going. So you want to keep your perspective in mind so that your flowers look more realistic. And now let's work on the branch. I'm going to take the burnt umber and let's have a really dark color at the start of the branch because that's going to be in shadow. And then I think this side is going to be in a little bit more shadow than the other. Let's go ahead and start outlining this right side of the branch with this burnt umber. It's a really dark color. And then you can grab some gray paint and see if you can kind of blend that together while it's still a little bit wet, which is a little bit tricky with acrylic just because they do dry so quickly. If you have thicker applications of paint, it's going to stay wet a little bit longer and make it easier to blend. But we want this lighter gray color to be a little bit of a highlight. So you want to get a little bit lighter as you go to the left and have a little bit less brown on the brush. And then while all of that is still a little bit wet, you can take, I have this beige color, and you can pop that in just strategically in the center to make it look three-dimensional, to act as a bit of a highlight. Okay, so I think I want to put a little bit more gray over here, just so we don't lose that definition. Okay, so the gray parts should have been fairly dry by now. And why don't we switch to another color? So I have this, it is an Alizarin Crimson, which is kind of a rosy red color. And I want to mix a little bit of, I have a Pastel Pink. I'm going to mix a little bit of pink in there so it's not super bright. And then let's go ahead and add this along some of these edges. And you can try to make sort of a stripes to give a little bit of dimension to the petals. And I would maybe put this mostly at the tips, trying to make it a little bit random, just so that it looks more natural. It's okay if you cover up some of that gray paint. That way it can act kind of as an underpainting. And then let's go into the center and see if you can kind of make your brush strokes go out towards the petals from the center. Okay, and then we'll do that to the one down here. Okay, and now while that's still a little bit wet, let's grab this candy pink and try to mix that in. Just kind of making another layer, letting the colors blend on the paper. Okay, and now let's move to another color. So I want to add some of this beige paint, and I want to mix a little bit of the candy pink into the beige. And then let's add that around some of the edges. You can kind of use this as like a base color or a little bit of an underpainting to cover up some of the whites of the paper. And if it mixes in with that other pink, that's fine. Just going to give you a nice effect when the colors mix together. Okay, so now let's move to a color, a really light shade. So I want to take quite a bit of titanium white, and I might take some flow medium, and then let's mix that up and see if you can get a really light color of pink. Just add a really small amount of candy pink in there. I want it to be pretty white. Let's actually switch brushes. So I'm going to switch to the size 4 filbert. I'm going to grab a little bit more glazed medium. So at this point, I kind of want a white light glaze. Okay, so see if you can add that in, kind of covering up the white of the petals and letting things kind of mix together. This larger brush is helping me cover a lot more area more quickly. Okay, so we might let that dry a little bit. Let's go back. Let's take the zero spotter, and I have this neon yellow color. And let's try to put that in the center and try to fill it in that area where you had some white spaces left. It's going to act as a stamen. Okay. So So then I might take a little bit more titanium white and see if you can add that in. Whoops. So you can add the white in for kind of a little bit of a highlight in certain areas. Just little places where you want to highlight, where you want the light to reflect off of the petals. Okay, so I'm going to take the 0 round brush and let's go back and add a little bit more of this burnt umber. I'm just using that to kind of cover up some white areas in the center. Just create a little bit more contrast, a little bit more definition. Kind of clean things up a little bit as well. Okay, so you could take your 0 spotter and some of this bright pink color, and let's go back and add just a little bit of detail on some of these petals. Just kind of bring it down and then kind of lift your brush. Just get a little bit more detail. So you want the larger flower to be the focal point. So you can spend a little more attention on that one than you do on this one at the bottom. Just kind of going around, trying to clean up some edges. Okay, so I think that's good for the flower. So you could let this dry completely and then we can come back and put this beautiful blue as a background color. So to complete the background, let's take a lot of Flow Medium and add it to our background color, which is going to be this beautiful sky blue. This is a pre-mixed craft paint. And then I'm going to take the edge of the brush and try to put kind of a square shape. Kind of go around the border to kind of act as a guide for where I want to put this color. Just going around the edge. Doesn't have to be perfect, just try to make it as straight as you can. And then use the edge of the brush to get into these corners. This is a size 8 flat brush. Okay, and then once you have the background all filled in, I'm going to take this clay daughter tool and let's see if we can take some of the darkest shade of pink and then put some random little dots kind of around the stamen. We'll do that to this one. So I'm just trying to place it on some areas that are kind of lighter so that it's going to stand out and show up. Then you can clean that off. And then I have that neon green color. And let's see if we can take a little bit of that and then add some dots with this. Just to give a fun variety. Okay. Okay, and then we will call this piece complete. Thank you so much for taking the time to paint with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe for more tutorials, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.